Have you ever gone to the beach and felt the waves hit at your ankles as you're standing there in the water? It's peaceful, isn't it? But just imagine a 150-foot wave crashing over your head and into the buildings and land behind you. Hello, my name is Jack Riley, and today I will be telling you guys about tsunamis. I chose this topic because I wanted to choose a topic that I would also learn things about myself. So obviously we live in the Midwest. We usually don't have to worry about tsunamis that often. So I thought it would be a great topic to inform you guys. So throughout the presentation, I do have a visual aid that I will be referring to as we go through. So the main focus that I want to put on the idea of tsunamis is that there are three main types. There are local tsunamis, regional tsunamis, and distant tsunamis. So what are the difference between tsunamis? I know that when we see videos and pictures of tsunamis that we maybe have learned about in high school or other college courses that we've taken, you just see a picture of one giant wave and it looks the same. But they're actually very different, and I thought that was extremely interesting when I was reading about. So the first one is a local tsunami, and it is a catastrophic sea wave that achieves landfall and causes major destruction. Its source is a major geographic event under sea level, such as an earthquake, volcanic eruption, or landslide. And yes, I also did not know that volcanoes can erupt in the middle of the ocean, but it's actually very common because there are multiple plate lines that run underneath large bodies of water, such as the Atlantic Ocean and the Indian Ocean. So for the first one, I want to refer to this picture right here that I have on my visual aid for you guys. So as you can see in this one right here, this is what we call a fault line right here in the ground. And in the fault line, there are these pockets that shoot volcanic ash up into the air. And as you can see, it's under the sea water. So when this eruption explodes, all of this water down here is pushed up into the air, and the ripple effect of the waves is what causes one giant tsunami. So that is a local tsunami. Usually with a local tsunami, you can feel it about 100 kilometers away if you were in the water for the ripple effects. So I thought that was extremely interesting. And arrival of this wave can happen in at least amount of time as 10 minutes. So these local tsunamis are very dangerous because it doesn't give a lot of people time to evacuate wherever they're at and reach a safer place. The second tsunami that we have is the regional tsunami. And that is one that causes damage from 100 kilometers to 1,000 kilometers away in the sea level. It is slightly more warning time as it is a much bigger explosion. So with a bigger explosion, you're going to get a lot more time as the water is going to take a long time to come back down, move out to sea, and so on and so forth. So this tsunami, any range between 1 and 3 hours of the initial earthquake in the water is before the wave reaches landfall. So I thought that was extremely interesting. The difference in time for, people to get away from the shore is obviously extremely important when you are talking about the idea of a tsunami. The third and final form of a tsunami is a distant tsunami. It is one that is also referred to as a tele-tsunami, meaning ocean-wide. So what do I mean when I say ocean-wide? Ocean-wide refers to the exceptional power that comes out of the earth when the earthquake first makes its initial reaction, and it leads to great destruction. This wave allows for multiple hours of evacuation at a time, but it covers a large amount of land. So with the power of the distant tsunamis, at the end of the day, it's going to be extremely destructive and it's going to be extremely dangerous. So I want to refer back to the visual aid that I have here for you guys. It's just another picture of where the initial reaction point is from the volcanic eruption and what the force of that wave. Just imagine this deep, deep sea level here. All of this water is being pushed up into the shoreline, as you can see. So if you can imagine all of this water coming over and arcing, it is going to be extremely detrimental to whoever is nearby. So the big question now is, how do tsunamis form other than an earthquake? So a tsunami is formed when waves in the ocean radiate and they move in opposite directions. So after the initial blast occurs underneath the water, you're going to see the waves are going to separate. And when you see a lot of documentaries about tsunamis, you'll see people, one very common warning sign is that all of the water on the shore will go out to sea, and you'll be able to see land for as far as the eye can see. And that's, that is a very initial sign that, trouble is coming. So one of the tsunami forms, its speed depends on the depth of the ocean. So obviously in deeper bodies of water, there's going to be more water that is going to form into these waves, obviously being more dangerous. In some cases, a tsunami can move as fast as a jet plane, pursuing speeds of over 500 miles per hour. So if you can imagine being you standing on the beach and you get hit by a 500 mile per hour wave, it's definitely going to do some damage. So they are very, very dangerous. And with that speed, the tsunami can stretch a width of over 3 miles. So these are very giant waves. Again, I cannot stress enough how dangerous they are. It wouldn't be right to do this presentation for the class if I didn't mention one of the most famous tsunamis in all of our history. In 2004, the Indian Ocean tsunami impacted 17 countries in Southeast Asia. On December 26, 2004, a day after Christmas, a 9.1 magnitude earthquake ruptured a 900-mile stretch of fault line between the Indian and Australian tectonic plates. So, this tsunami was the third largest in all of history, and unfortunately it took the lives of 227,000 people. This tsunami is a leading driver in researching and finding out how the plates work underneath the ocean, what causes these volcanic eruptions under the water. So I thought that was very interesting to learn about that one. So in the end, to wrap up, I think it's very important that we all educate ourselves on tsunamis, even though, as I mentioned earlier, we live in the Midwest. What do we have to worry about tsunamis? I think it's important because as I was reading about this earthquake in 2004, there was a lot of people that were on vacation in Indonesia at the time. Obviously, it was around Christmas time. So I think it's very important. You may be somewhere in the world where you are at risk of possibly a tsunami. And I think it's important that all of us educate ourselves, just in case that were to be, an option. I would like to read my works cited now. I have 5 sources listed here. The first source is the National Ocean and Atmospheric Administration. The second is the Caribbean Disaster Emergency Management Agency. The third is a book written by Christina Lee. It is called All Types of Tsunamis. The fourth source I have is from the 2004 Indian Ocean Earthquake and Tsunami website, brought to you by Vision World. And the fifth and final source that I have is the SMS Tsunami Warning System. So I hope you guys enjoyed this presentation. I was very excited to learn about tsunamis myself, and I hope you learned something today. So take care. Thank you.